You won't believe it. She bought a new car. Her life is so perfect.
Your balance on your account, it's been past due for 43 days now.
I was trying to save us.
Is the grass really greener on the other side?
They have it way better than me.
I guess we'll never know. Actually, join us this Friday at 3 p.m. and you might just find out. We are women. We are brave, strong, capable, unique. We are women to women.
Good afternoon, South Africa. Afternoon. Now, if you want to tune with us and you are busy working or you're driving, you can also reach us out through our digital radio. We play live this program on our digital radio. How to get there? You just visit our website, www.uckg.org.za, and there you're going to find a key that is going to take you straight to our live radio. But very soon, very, very soon, I hope before the end of March, we are in mid-March now, we are going to have our app. You download the app and you are connected with our radio. Anyway, today we are going to speak a little bit about urban proverb. But before we go there, we received a question about marriage. And I wanted just to comment for our listeners and viewers. Marriage in South Africa, there are 3 types of marriage recognized by our South African laws. One is very common, is the civil marriage, is where you go to the home affairs. The other one is customary marriage, and that is not very common or popular in other countries. So I think I need to explain a bit about that one. And the third, civil unions, where it has a state legal aspect, but it doesn't have a federal aspect, and guarantee totally the rights of the partner or the children. But let me explain briefly what customary marriage is. It is the marriage done according to the customs or the tribal laws of the various cultures in Africa. So even though they are not registered at the home affairs, the marriage ceremony is conducted according to the various traditions of different cultures, and it is recognized by the law. Our last stats for South Africa on marriages, what is very interesting, dates from 2018. And in 2018 alone, we had more than 131,000 marriages, civil marriages. We had about 3,106 customary marriages. What leads you to think it's quite popular in South Africa, recognized by the law, the rights of the partners and children fully recognized. And we had about 1,600 civil unions. Civil unions are more used nowadays for same-sex marriages. What was the curious change about that? That the average marriage age for males changed from 35 to 36, and from females to 33 to 34 years old. It is a bit funny for us because maybe in our countries and other cultures, we get married very early. And here the standard of really getting married and settling for good, even though divorce rate is quite high, it is more when you're mid-30s. So that leads us to our question of today.
Hi, I would like to remain anonymous. Is it okay to continue in a relationship with a boyfriend that seems to be having cold feet to take the next step, which is marriage? He keeps postponing the timeline on when he wants to get married.
So I think today we are going to answer to that question in stages, because it could be very easy for us to look at you, to our viewer who sent this question and of course wants to keep anonymous, and say, oh, he's delaying your life, you have to open your eyes, he doesn't know what he wants. But before we get to that stage of judging the merits of his action, I think we need to take into account some circumstances or aspects that might be leading him to delay. And I think about financial condition. Maybe he is someone who wants to get married when he's fully established, or right now he doesn't have financial condition, especially to cater for all the requirements that family in South Africa and Africa, they stipulate for marriages, isn't that? Can someone tell me about some of the requirements?
Okay, some of the requirements are obviously the diary, which is the lobola. Then there's also the gifts that come in with the family. I think in some cultures they call it I think is it umemulo or something like that in the Zulu culture, whereby now the families have to exchange gifts. Now the gifting goes from giving your uncles, your granddad, your brothers, and all of that. So if the person is not really financially stable, that is actually a burden for him. And nowadays we have girls that have now these big dreams of the day, like when she gets married. So now there's the rehearsals, there's the preparing for the wedding, the bridal showers, and all of those things, whereby if that man is not really, I think, financially stable, it is a burden on him because then it goes to the venue. And the venues nowadays, it's not like in the past whereby our parents used to be satisfied with just pitching a tent.
No, in old days it was on the streets with the tent and the party.
Yeah, with the tent and everything, but now it's all about venues, locations. We have those that want
The
destination.
wedding forms.
The wedding form destination weddings, where now they want to fly to different continents or countries. So now when you have people going there, you have to pay for it because it is your decision that you want to have it out of the country. So perhaps the guy is thinking of that and he's not yet financially stable in the sense of whereby you're putting too much pressure on him. So hence he keeps postponing because he wants to give you that perfect date.
So when we talk about financial, we have the two sides. The requirements of the family according to the traditional wedding. And you spoke about lobola, but just let us give them a sense of how much is lobola.
Well, I think it can go anything from like your 30,000 to over like 100,000.
30,000 would be about $2,000.
So they usually weigh it on the qualifications of the maiden. So if she's educated, it's one thing. She does not have a child, it's something else. She has a good job, it adds on. She has her own house, it adds on. So it depends on the family, and that can be very pricey and taxing.
It can go up to how much?
Here in South Africa, the lobola is based on cows. So if they say we want 20 cows, you have to calculate.
But then it becomes much more because if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
a cow head is about 7,000 rand.
that's the more reasonable one. If you
So
want
easily
a
to
real
goes
cow,
to $10,000.
12,000,
Yes, it
12,000 rand.
Yeah, we've seen even, I think there was one celebrity that the engagement was even broken off because the family wanted 1 million rand. And the guy was like, I'm not doing that because they calculated everything. Like she's educated, she's famous, she's known, she has a brand. So it goes as far as the family wants it to be. And usually the girls, they're not even realistic to want to maybe come to the family and say maybe it's too much. But then they actually want that because sometimes it's even a status thing in the community, like, oh no, for my daughter, he paid this much. So it's something that is honored and loved in some cultures.
And then it goes the other aspect of that, the expectations on that beautiful wedding ceremony and the preparations. And of course, all that costs a lot. What else could we say could be his reasons?
I think it's all about the agreement they made before starting this relationship, because many starts a relationship not knowing where they want to be. There is no time frame for that. So for example, if he studies and they agreed, you study, I'm doing my university, so let us finish our degree and after get married. So there is a limit. Okay, 4 years, 3 years. But then when the word is not kept, because people, they just start a relationship, but they don't know where they want to go. So they just start and then the guy finished the degree and she's fine, but they want to have a house. They want first to buy a car instead of trying to build life together. So you agreed. That is the part of the family. It's also part of the agreement they had to do before. That should have a limit. Until when we can accept this and that. So until when I'm going to be in this relationship, we agreed before that you will finish your degree. Now you finish. And now, what about now? So if he starts to postpone too much, then it's a red sign. Something is going on. And he's delaying for what? Should have a reason. And you need to consider, because the interesting that we find many people is that they want to be there on top, establishing life. And how long, Miss Marsha, takes for someone
After pandemic, let us put another 5 years.
to develop so well, to be that successful person? So why not to build life together? So make it reasonable. It's a limit. Okay, you want to finish your schools and everything, fair enough, let's do that. But after that, so let us get married. And it's sad when we see many people, they engage, they start to live together because they can't afford to pay all expenses. They can't afford to finish their degree. At the same time, they pay university and pay the lobol and all that. It becomes too much for them. Then they resort to, let us.
And
start
funny
life
enough,
together.
when they resort to live together is not a form of marriage.
They look at it like it's not. They actually say, no, we're not yet married. And the families are accepting of that in most cases. And then the girl gives birth. She has a child, one child, two children. But there's now, when you have kids, that's where now the price, I think, also increases more, because we have what's called the damage payment that you have to do. So
Wedlock, out of wedlock.
so maybe sometimes they're hoping that the longer she stays there, then the prices keep going higher.
And I think as well, post marriage, what does she want? Because Samara touched a bit on it. Maybe she wants this house, maybe she wants this car, that this guy really wants to provide for her, but he knows that right now he cannot. So, what are her expectations pre marriage and post marriage? Because we live in an era of social media. So, everyone will want to know, you got married, you had this beautiful wedding, but what about after the honeymoon? Did you go to Paris? Did you go to Dubai? Or did you go to Paris, just here next door? And then it's bad for them. And the house, the car, the clothes, everything. So post marriage, what are her expectations?
So, in summary, you wanted to add something else.
No, it's just something little as well, but it's about maybe that person, that guy is looking at you and had expectations in terms of your character, your behavior. And he was when we started dating you, he had a certain expectation in the kind of person that you are, but maybe he's having that cold feet because you're not that person that he thought you were, or maybe as we are saying, your expectations are too high. He realizes that I thought I can afford, but I can't afford because this person's life is just way too much, not what I thought we could do together. So maybe your character, your behavior as well is maybe disturbing somehow. You could maybe think of maybe, counseling or talking to him saying, is there anything that you're complaining about me? Or is there anything that maybe it's turning you off in terms of, you being excited or being happy to be with me to spend the rest of your life? Because we date to get to know each other so that we can decide to get married. So if that decision is not coming, of course, something might be blocking. It might be a good reason.
We decided to discuss the details of marriage because marriage is a very complicated business in South Africa and in Africa in general. But before you make this decision of labeling him, he's deceiving me, he is wasting my time, check and tick the box. The financial aspect. What did you agree before? What are your expectations after? And look at yourself, as Keto said. Is there something that he was expecting of me, and maybe I am not being the one that he thought of? After all that, after weighing the pros and cons, and you don't find a reasonable explanation, sit down and have a serious talk. Because, of course, you cannot be wasting your life. You cannot be expecting to get married one day and he's going to find someone else. So after all that consideration of the family pressure, of the financial expectations, of your behavior with him, do you have things in common? What did you agree upon? When would you look into marriage? Have a talk and ask him what is delaying. Sometimes might be some insecurities that you can happily waive and compromise. And really, for the sake of being married and being together and building together, as we said, you don't need that fancy wedding. Or you can negotiate with the family more reasonable conditions. or you can change in what he's not appreciating in you. So a serious talk will actually lead you to the right decision. Don't guess, but work with the facts. We hope we have helped you to answer that question and many others who might find themselves in the same situation. Now we are going to go to our topic of today, and that's an old urban saying from England since 1545, when we have that expectation, why the grass is always greener on the other side. And what it means that when you look at your life and you compare, and we spoke about comparison before, to the life of someone else that seems to be more attractive, more expressive than yours, you find that his standard or her standard of life is better than yours. I would hear from my grandmother saying that the food from the neighbor is always better than in your house. Because I don't know if it happened with you kids, you would love to eat in your neighbor's house. And it could have been the very same thing that your mom cooked, but for some reason it seemed to be better. And that we bring from our childhood. But the problem is that in our daily decisions and in the various areas of our lives, we start comparing. And dissatisfaction comes in because for some reason, we always believe that someone's life is better than mine. So who wants to add on personal experiences?
It's not really a personal experience, but you know that most of the time growing up, you will always see the neighbor buying something new. This is something very common here in South Africa. You see the neighbor buying something new and then you buy something new, especially in December when everybody has had their bonus. They start buying, they renovate their houses, buy new couches and everything. And then you see the neighbor all of a sudden the following week putting herself into debt and trying to keep up with the neighbor. So we have this this not beautiful, but this saying that we're always keeping up with the Joneses. That is for the Americans. In South Africa, keeping up with the Laminis. So we try to keep
I
up.
thought it was with the Guptas.
I think it depends on the on the culture. Yes. So for us here, it's keeping up with the Lamini. So you're trying to keep up with the neighbor because you see the kind of life that she has. You see the kind of house that she has. So a lot of people, they always think that the grass is always greener on the other side. They never stop to think, did she save? What did she do for her to be able to renovate her house, to extend her house? Because we have that as well, where you extend your house, you make it a double story, or you just extend. For some people, they try to, then they get into loans, they get into debt because they're trying to keep up with the neighbor, because for them the grass is greener on the other side. They never stop to think, what did she do? How did she get that money for her to be able to do all of that? But I want to keep up with her. I want my grass to be as green as hers. So I'm going to make a way. It doesn't matter how, but I'll make a way for my grass to be as green as her grass.
And something that is coming to my mind now, that dissatisfaction might come just because I'm looking at appearance. I don't actually know if her life is better than mine, if her marriage is perfect, mine is not, if her kids are brilliant and I'm not. I'm just judging by what my eyes see, and it looks greener, but I don't know if it's really as green as I think, or it's my perception, or I don't take into account the effort that someone put to have that lifestyle.
One thing as well that I thought of, it's how, we women, more especially, specifically women, we like, it's very hard to find women satisfied with themselves in terms of their own body, their own beauty. there's always that thing that she looks better, she has the better hair, she has, her body's better
She's
than
got
mine.
it.
She's got it.
Of which we couldn't explain last week. So let us forget about that.
So she got it, but then as Ms. Masa is saying that it's appearance that you don't even know. I thought so much about the skin lightening, that it's so common. We see these products everywhere, and you see many women now doing everything in their power to lighten their skin. But then, it came to my mind that I remember even back in the days, one of the celebrities, someone who was very, very famous that passed on, that changed his skin to become lighter, and the complications that came, and even his death, all that contributed to that. But then and how many women as well have, we've seen our mothers, our aunties, and those who try to lighten their skin. And today, when you look at their skin now, it's really, you can see there is damage. They have serious skin problems, but we still have that going on with women who don't appreciate their own self, their own color, their own skin, because they feel like there's somebody else who's better. But you don't even think this person has a lighter skin, but the environment, the climate where she lives it's conducive for that kind of skin. Because like I was saying, for example, lighter skin is very sensitive to heat. And I'm here in a very hot country. Like I come from Botswana, it's very, very hot. And if you want to skin lighten, because even your skin becomes, I think the texture as well becomes lighter. So you become very sensitive to heat and all that. So it's those kind of things that women sometimes, or we have to understand that if you don't appreciate, you're not satisfied with who you are, you even put yourself in danger, or you even look at that woman and you think she has it all. All they wish is they never wished to be that. Because think of our aunties who have now the damaged skin. Don't they wish they never really wish to be light? Or don't they wish they never, and think of the surgeries that people make now. Because I want a caviar body, I want, a certain kind of nose, the kind of problems they have. But you look at them on TV, you look at them and you think, wow, they have, the 8 facts, I don't know, or they, these are the women, this is the kind of beauty that I have to have. But you don't understand the kind of complications they have. As Tammy was saying that, sometimes you see the grass is greener, but it's fake grass. It's not natural. And to walk on that fake grass is not as comfortable as the real natural grass. So it's something that we have to think.
Once I watched an interview of one very famous Brazilian model. She stopped on the charts and she was talking about that it's her natural metabolism. Of course, she takes very much care on what she eats. She eats very healthy, but she doesn't skip meals. She says, my metabolism relates. So then, young girls, they look at her body figure that is beautiful, perfect measurements, and they want to have the same because the grass looks greener for her. And they go into that self-destructive process of bulimia and not eating and skipping meals. They fall sick and they go to the extent of even dying for the sake of that beauty standard, that it was not natural. So she made an interview and made an appeal. She was blessed with the fact that she had a very good metabolism, and of course she would eat adequately. But she was trying to warn young girls that don't try to be as slim or to reach those proper measurements by risking your health, because many were dying out of these eating disorders that we hear about.
And the other one that I thought of is in Africa, which has become like one of the biggest problems in communities where even witchcraft is born from. Because people look at the grass, as Gitu and Tammy already spoke about. You look at the neighbor buying new couches, renovating her house, and they don't stop to calculate the cost. Like, how did she do that? So the person now becomes envious of that success and decides, okay, if she can do it, I want to do it as well, but why can't I achieve it? No, she has good luck, or maybe, oh no, you'll hear them even saying her ancestors are good, or this or that or that. So what will they do now? They will go to extreme measures of it's not now like maybe you bought a new phone, I will buy a new phone. No, now they go to an extreme measure of saying, I want to take what belongs to her. I want to do something about it. And it's so sad because I remember when growing up in school, one of the things that I was always warned about from my parents was never lend your books to other kids. And
it goes to the extent of children.
Yes, like with witchcraft, I think there's no limit
there's no level, because they don't even
That's so
mind
sad.
seeing the child next door suffering just because they want what that child has. So you would find kids whereby she was doing well in school, she was very intelligent, she was smart, and maybe someone borrowed the book because they missed a class or two. And when the book returned, all of a sudden the girl can't concentrate in class. She's now maybe having learning challenges. And when they take them to the doctor or psychiatrist or anything, no one can really pinpoint as to what the real problem is. And later you find out that it was actually someone bewitched the child with the books, or maybe you see your friend getting married. Then you want the same guy. They don't want to actually stop and say, okay, what am I doing? Maybe that I'm not finding someone suitable for me. So they go to the measures of maybe stealing people's like most intimate clothing to go and do that muti or whatever it is. And that is because the person is not satisfied with their own life, but they never stop to ask themselves, how hard is that person working? Like in the thing of the kids, my mom would always say, okay, we are trying to, but before she became of faith, she would say, no, I'm doing everything to protect you. But then the thing would be, but then do they understand that when this child goes home, they don't watch TV the entire afternoon. They're actually studying, they're actually revising, they're being prepared for exams. They go maybe to extra classes, extra lessons, they have a tutor or something. But then when a person is not satisfied with their own grasp, they even achieve those things sometimes because the person maybe is not of faith, and it works because that's the truth. It does work on those that they don't have God's protection. But even when they get those things, they don't know how to take care of those things because it just becomes a mess where you see maybe the neighbor now, it's something that's very sad we've heard of, where the husband leaves, but then he doesn't go to a faraway place. He's going to the neighbor's house, and the wife and the kids see their father every single day coming back home, but he's not entering in his own household, but he's living in the other house. But that woman mistreats the man. She fights with him. She belittles him. Why? Because it wasn't meant for her. She didn't work hard for that. So I think it's something that, especially with women, we need to be careful with, because envy can lead you to a state that there might be no return. Because as Kito was speaking about the body shapes, the body types, okay, you go and skin lighten yourself, but you don't realize you're making yourself prone now to even skin diseases that can be deadly.
Skin cancer.
Skin cancer, which now your lifestyle, for example, as she said, we live in Africa and many people ask, but why are we darker? It's because we need
Because
more
we have this
melanin.
beautiful sun.
Yes, we have the sun, and our skin, actually, the darker it is, the more protected you are from it. So when people don't stop to actually calculate the measures and the costs of why does that take place, they end up being extreme. And especially with witchcraft, sometimes even family members, which is the sad part. It's in the house where you'll hear that, no, the mother is jealous of the daughter's success because she is more successful than she was. Then she goes to that extreme measure of saying, okay, I want to take what belongs to her. And some people even die in those cases, and there's a lot of regret.
How dangerous it is, dissatisfaction. We know jealousy is quite dangerous, but dissatisfaction may lead you to a stage or to a step that you don't find your way back. And there is the situation of love life when dissatisfaction comes in.
Yeah, and sometimes when Precious was talking about the husband who goes to the neighbor and leave the family, sometimes the wife was the one showing to him, look the grass that side. Look how the mothers are the ones showing to the kids. That child always is on top at school. And what about you? What is happening with you? So the enticing inside of them, this envy, this jealous. And for the women who have problem in their marriage, sometimes they go to work and they see that gentleman guy there, so polite, and they think, my husband is not like this in the house. But in fact, you don't live with that guy. So you don't know how he is inside the house.
You don't actually know if the grass is greener.
Yes. So they started to project in their mind. They are stepping on a grass that they are not taking care. So, and they are looking to the other side. Instead of focus, if you have a problem in your marriage, instead of looking to the marriage of someone else to desire to have the same marriage that that person, that couple has, why not to focus on the problem you are having in your marriage and solve that problem? Water that grass to make it green. So instead of comparing your child with other kids, why not helping your child? Let us sit down here together. I can imagine if the busy life that parents they don't have that much strength to arrive home and sit down to check the books of the kids. Maybe this child who is getting better degree, that better grades at school, it's because the mother is there checking what they are doing and is encourage them. So instead of just coming to your husband and say, you see, you don't do, look, when you go together for a lunch in family, for example, then you see that other couple, that they treated other well, maybe they really live that life. But instead of envy what they have, why? And tell your husband, you see, you don't treat me like he treats her. But help your husband and use your faith, of course, to change the situation and solve the problem. Don't just be losing time. For me, when I'm looking to someone else's grass, I'm losing time. Instead of me taking care of my grass and focusing my life, I'm just desire what I don't have and what I will not have if I don't work in myself.
So bottom line of why the grass is greener on the other side, it is because maybe someone is putting a lot of effort, watering, fertilizing, and that's why it's greener. So instead of looking at the other side, why my grass is not as green? Am I taking the right care? Am I investing in my marriage? Am I investing in my finances? Am I investing in myself? Am I appreciating what I have instead of only dwelling in what I don't have? That is a change of focus. And changing that focus will make you to put efforts for your grass to be greener. But now, just after the break, this break, what should you do? Or how can you make your grass to be greener? We are going to be right back.
Isulu ikaya amila so okumula kona haulona isulu ikaya kitila koso kitizulu ikaya na isulu ikaya haila koso Tiana, Silibona, Haulaneso, Highway Kishona, Kayana, Kitila, Boso, Tiana, I Silibona. Now I'm echo, how you electricity, you should go now, you so, oh, you should know, Massy, no Massy, Sitele, no Mastelua, I got 20 years, Ilangaletu, you no Massy, no mastelera au kotwalieza au nantiana sinibona au gameto haiwe tizio kishelona yusu au na koso kitina Tiana, how silibona, how gameto, how ecclesia, Bishopona, Yusufaya, Abila Poso, how I know Massi Susha, no Massi Swasi, no Master. Yeza, kotwali yeza. Hauna no masifusha. Hauno mastelela, no mastelela. Hau kotwali yeza. Yitina tiana, tiana. Hau silibona. Hau ngameso. Haiwetizio. Mishilona. Yisu, yisu, yisu. Yisu, yisu. Haula koso. Baba nanti ananti. Iti silibona. Haunga leko. Haiwetizio. Mishilona. Yisu, yisu, yisu. Yisu, yisu. Haula koso. Haunantia, nanantia, iti silibo. Kaneto, haiwetizio. Mishilona, yisu, yisu, ikaya. Angitila koso, haipumula kona.
Welcome back to the second part of the show. When we finished, I said, what should we do to fight dissatisfaction? Because we discussed the fact that sometimes we are admiring and even desiring the greener grass on the other side, of which we don't know if it's true, if it's the reality of someone's life. And we also focusing on that side, but not on our lives. So, how can we fight that dissatisfaction that comes mostly for every human being until we realize we have it and we stop looking at others' grass and we focus on ours? The Word of God says to us in Proverbs 13:4. It's a strong word, but it's the answer to our question. Let us read together. The soul of a lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. Hard word to listen, but truth, tough love from God to us. While we are contemplating, desiring, to a certain extent, being jealous about someone's life, or even saying, I don't understand why everything goes so right for my friend and nothing goes well in my life, it's because we are not putting all the efforts that we should to achieve the same results and who knows, much better results. We are just looking at and we are not taking a look into our lives. We are not putting all our efforts to reach what we want. So when we think someone's marriage is more blessed than us, we don't know the efforts that the couple is doing. How many sacrifices, how many times that wife needed to let go of something for the sake of peace. How many times that man had to work harder than what he wanted so that he would offer more to his family. We just look from the outside and we compare and say, I don't have that kind of marriage. My husband is not as caring as so. But am I caring for him? Because if I start caring for my husband, I will teach him how to care for me. Whenever you give, you will receive. But when you don't put efforts in investing, in watering, in fertilizing every area of your life, you are not going to have the same results. However, God says that the soul of the diligent will be made rich because the diligent is the one who perseveres. So that's why I said when you invest in your own life, you're not going to get the same results. Your grass will not only be greener, your grass will be beautiful and flowers will bud there. Because when you persevere, you reach beyond your goal. And I speak by experience. Every time that I set a goal, but I put my whole life, my mind, my emotions, my efforts in achieving that goal, I reach it actually so much more. That is the secret of God. When we ask God something, He gives you abundantly. And it means more than what you desired, more than what you asked for. So that's why the life of the diligent will be made rich, because God will lead you to focus on your grass, not on someone's life. And He's going to inspire you how to solve that situation, how to become a better wife, a better daughter, how to be a great entrepreneur, how to exceed in your studies without having to look at someone's life, focusing on your life. And of course, allowing God to take the lead. You can't do anything without Him, but with Him, allowing Him to inspire you, you don't need to envy other people's life. That dissatisfaction will go away. That is the secret of God for my life, for your life. You might be struggling with that, and until today, you never realized I am someone who is dissatisfied. I always look at people's life and think that they are perfect. But we are going to pray for you right now. We gave you the realization, we gave you the tip of God on how to change it, and we are going to pray that you have the courage to put that in action. So if you want to pray with us, please close your eyes.
Lord, we present the lives of each one of these people that are here with us today that related to this topic, my Lord. And they realize that they need to change because they are the kind of people that are not satisfied with their own lives. They are busy worried about other people's lives, or thinking that other people have better things than them, or that they might not have the best that they think they are supposed to have. But as we said and we explained, my Lord, that they need to understand that they have to invest in what they have. They have to do the best with what they have, because no one gets anything by luck or chance. But what we have or what somebody else's have, they have because they did their best. So I ask you to help this person right now to realize, to recognize where they are failing, to improve on themselves, where they are failing to invest, where they need to get the results that they need so that they can bring that change. Because my Father, we are not these people that we have to be competing and comparing ourselves with other people. You have the best for each one of us, but we can only get that if we invest in our own faith, if we do what we are supposed to do, if we diligently seek from you the guidance of what we need to do to reach what we need. So I ask you to give this person the courage, the strength to live what they need to live, to make the changes that they need to change so that they can see the results that they want, because you only want the best for them, and you do have plans for them, something great for them, for each one of them. So they don't need to compare or even underestimate themselves. They have to know that they need to find a way to do what they need to do to change. So I bless each one of them, and I ask you to help them to overcome in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We love to have your experiences and how you related to our topic, and how much you have improved or which areas you are still struggling. So make use of our WhatsApp number that is showing on our screen. Send your comments if you don't want to post them here in Facebook. Send your questions, because we take the opportunity to answer your question, and I'm sure that many others are blessed with the answer. Next week, we are going to be back with another woman-to-woman show. And next week, we are going to be talking about the storm in a teacup. Stay tuned with us and find more about that next week. 3 o'clock, we meet again. Bye-bye. God bless you all. And until then, bye-bye.
In a city where everything could fall apart, our heroine faces the ultimate fight. For emotional stability, anything could go wrong. Her entire world is now on her shoulders. And who...
Come, honey, stop playing. It's dinner time. Now that is a storm in a teacup. Join us this Friday at 3 p.m.